Hey there. Before we begin, if you're someone who questions everything, even the things we're told are good, hit that subscribe button. Join a growing tribe of thinkers, rebels, and wanderers who refuse to accept the world at face value. Now let's dive into something most people are too scared to even consider. What if morality, the very compass we use to judge right and wrong, is not some universal truth, but a carefully crafted tool to control you? Let that settle in for a second. From the moment we're born, we're taught what's right and wrong. Share your toys. Respect authority. Don't lie. Be kind, but good. According to who? Your parents, your religion, your government, your culture. What's considered moral in one society is often condemned in another. In some cultures, it's noble to fight for honor. In others, it's moral to forgive and turn the other cheek. One glorifies vengeance, another worships peace. If morality were truly universal, how could it shift so dramatically across borders, timelines, and belief systems? The answer is uncomfortable, because maybe, just maybe, morality isn't about truth. Maybe it's about control. Nietzsche didn't just flirt with this idea. He attacked it. He wrote that morality is the herd's weapon against the strong. In other words, those in power, or those seeking to maintain order, define what's right and wrong, not to guide you, but to govern you. Slaves were told it's moral to be obedient and humble. Women were told it's moral to be quiet and serve. Workers were told it's moral to labor for others, to never ask for more, and to accept their fate. Sound familiar? Morality, in this light, isn't a guide for the soul. It's a leash for the mind. It can become the invisible chain around your neck, one you never question because it's sold to you as virtue. Governments tell us it's moral to pay taxes, fight in wars, obey laws, even when those laws are broken themselves. Religions tell us it's moral to follow the faith blindly, give away your wealth, confess your sins to men in robes. Corporations tell us it's moral to stay loyal, overwork yourself, sacrifice your life for the company. But who actually benefits from all this morality? The answer isn't you. Every system benefits when you follow their version of right and wrong, and every system punishes you, subtly or violently, when you don't. Let's be real. Morality is often just a set of instructions disguised as virtue. It's the code you must accept to remain accepted. But let's take it deeper. Think about how morality is used not just to control the masses, but to fracture them. One group is labeled moral, another an immoral. One belief system is righteous, another evil. That's how division is born, not through violence, but through virtue. If you can convince people that they are morally superior, they'll police each other. They'll cancel, shame, and exile anyone who doesn't conform. You don't even need a dictator when the crowd becomes the enforcer. That's the genius of moral control. It doesn't need chains or guns. It just needs judgment. And judgment spreads like a virus. You start monitoring your thoughts, silencing your desires, editing yourself to fit in. Before long, you're not living, you're performing. And the scariest part, you think you're doing it by choice, but choice without awareness is just obedience in disguise. We've been tricked into thinking morality is about being better, when it's often about being manageable. If you toe the line, you get acceptance, applause, safety. Step outside it, and you're dangerous. But maybe danger is the first step to freedom. And here's the cruel twist. Most people never ask who benefits from the morality they've inherited. They live by rules written centuries ago, shaped by emperors, kings, priests, all with something to gain. And the cost: your authenticity. You bite your tongue when you want to scream. You give when you're already empty. You forgive when you're still bleeding. Why? Because morality told you that's what a good person does. But what if being good is killing your truth? What if being good is the slowest form of self-betrayal? Michel Foucault spent his life exposing how power works. Not through brute force, but through invisible systems like education, medicine, language, and yes, morality. He showed how society doesn't need cages when it can control your mind. Morality doesn't have to be enforced violently when it's internalized silently. Albert Camus, in his rebellion against meaninglessness, didn't chase commandments. He chased personal rebellion. To live not obediently, but with honesty. To create meaning for yourself, not consume it from others. And Dostoevsky warned us, if God is dead, then everything is permitted. But maybe that's not a threat. Maybe that's freedom. So what do we do? Do we abandon morality entirely? No, we reclaim it. We question every rule we've been told. We ask, who wrote this rule? Who gains from me following it? And does this truly honor my values? Or just keep me quiet? Real morality doesn't come from fear. It doesn't come from guilt. It doesn't come from some ancient book or political agenda. Real morality is forged in the fire of self-awareness. It's built by individuals brave enough to confront their shadow, to own their contradictions, and to live honestly, even when it costs them approval. The true revolution is not in rejecting morality. It's in writing your own. So the real question isn't, what is moral? The real question is, who gets to decide? Because until you take that power back, someone else is writing the rules of your life. And make no mistake, if you don't choose your own morality, you'll live inside someone else's prison, thinking it's paradise. If this hits something deep inside you, don't just scroll away. Like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, especially the uncomfortable ones. And if you're done being manipulated by invisible hands, hit that subscribe button and step into the fire with us. We're not here to be good. We're here to be real.